Innovation and biology is the topic for today's lecture for creativity and innovation management, lecture number 2. And most of you have submitted the assignment, and I've reviewed those quickly. Those will not be graded, uh, but you have to hand them in as some of the points for the participation. I've thought about it. Participation is very important in this class, but participation has many forms, not just speaking in class, but some of these short assignments. We may have questions and polls, and I may call on people too. So the whole package will be important for that participation grade overall. So obviously, if you don't hand in the assignments, most of you did, there'll be some negative, but these won't be graded because many of the questions will be very open-ended. There's no right answer. I will say this though, most of you actually did not really understand or get the question right. That's not necessarily your fault. Maybe it was too open-ended, but many of you answered the question, give an example of innovation in biology, not exactly what I was looking for. Now, that's fine because innovation is about uh, exploring, making mistakes, quote unquote mistakes, and coming up with new ideas. So, actually, it's good that many of you didn't answer it in the right way, and I'll explain shortly what I mean. And that's the way we learn and improve and make progress. In fact, that's the way we make innovation. So that's fine, and we'll go over those um answers. Not every single one, but we'll go over them in general. So today's lecture is about adaptation and evolution, innovation in biology. And let me start. Are there any questions from last time before I start, that is? Okay. So yesterday we did innovation, an overview. What is innovation? And we talked about many different kinds of innovation. We'll do a short review as part of this lecture this morning. And today, as I mentioned, we'll be talking about adaptation and evolution, innovation in biology. Now, there are two reasons why we're going to talk about innovation in biology today. One reason is to give examples of innovation in biology, which was the assignment, as you know. The second is that if we want to have an overarching framework, an overarching system of innovation, there is no better system than how evolution works over the millions of years that has given rise to all the plants and animals that we have on Earth today. So we will review the theory of evolution and adapt that theory of evolution for a framework that we will use throughout the course for innovation. How do we come up with all the different plants and animals, all the incredible diversity and remarkable adaptations to solving environmental problems and adaptation to those problems through innovation? And that system has produced remarkable results. And if we try to learn from how evolution works, then we can create business and management systems that also foster innovation. Obviously, a business, a startup doesn't have millions of years to innovate and come up with remarkable results. So we have to figure out ways, obviously, to compress and adapt this evolutionary system to business and more direct needs in our activities, careers, and work. So that's the concept for today's lecture. I would say there's a third reason for studying innovation in biology, Maybe I'll ask some of you. The first two reasons were to see examples of innovation. The second reason was to develop a framework of innovation. I have a third reason in mind. What do you think is my third reason for talking about biology this morning? Who wants to answer that? What do you think is a third reason for thinking about biology? Anyone want to take a guess?
Maybe Professor, your major was biology.
Oh, that's a good answer. No, my major was biochemistry, but that's not the reason why. Many professors will talk about their own particular areas. That just happens to be by chance that I have a background in biology, but I also have a background in the humanities, in business. I've studied a lot of physics and so forth. So that's a good answer, but the answer is not because I have any personal sort of stake or background that I have a desire to teach you biology. It's a good answer, but that's not the correct answer. Or not, I shouldn't say correct, but that's not what I'm thinking of. So call that the fourth reason, but it's not really a reason. So what's the third reason that we're talking about biology today?
Um, isn't it because of the current situation with the COVID-19 and and maybe people will focus on the innovation in biology from now on?
That actually is also a good answer. Fifth reason, where everybody's involved in COVID, obviously involves biology and everything. So we need to, as a society, as individuals, we need to know a little bit more about this. You know, what is an RNA virus? I mean, what is an RNA vaccine, mRNA vaccine? What is an RNA virus? You know, what is the protein, the spike protein? You know, these medicines, what does it mean? Uh, the more we know about it, the better it will be. Not all of us have to be doctors, of course, but I think that's a very good reason. Biology is very prominent in our discussions right now. So that's a good fifth reason. So maybe I'll start making some notes here. I'll make a new slide. So the first reason is to see examples of innovation. The second reason is to develop a framework of evolution. The third reason we haven't identified. The fourth reason, which Q Rui said, was because the professor knows biology. The fifth reason, who was that answered? Uh, Ab-
Yeah,
Abdulaziz? Okay.
yeah, Abdulaziz.
Abdul,
That's me.
because of COVID, biology is very current and important. So that's good. Okay, so what's this third reason? So let me ask some questions. I have to say, write one thing to iPad. Mr. iPad, can you change your name to a real name, please? So, Mr. iPad, or Mrs. iPad, or Miss iPad, let me ask you a question. What is your area of specialty? Like, what did you study a lot in high school, and what is your area of interest?
Professor, are you talking to the whole class?
No, there's somebody whose name is iPad.
Sorry, I forgot to change my iPad name.
Okay, can you change that? I think that's important. I'm not going to ask everybody to turn on cameras, but at a minimum, I have to know your. Okay, great. So Wang Ying Hong, thank you very much. what was your area of interest in high school and now in university?
Professor, actually in Chinese high school education, we do not study in specific area.
Oh yeah, I know. Same in American high school and all that. But what's your favorite area? What is your that you like the most? That's
In the
maybe the
high
better.
school, I I play League of Legends every day and I love it.
Love what?
It's a PC game.
Oh, game. Okay, really okay. But what academic subject?
Uh, in in high school, I learned how to take exams, how to be powerful, how to win in the exams. That's Chinese high school education.
Hmm. Okay, but any particular subject that people were interested? Let's go to somebody else. Maksat, what was your area of interest in kind of now and in high school? Do you
Well, I
like
cannot say.
history? Do you like literature? Do you like economics?
I think in high school it was history because
History.
because I was studying in Europe and I had to come to my country, and as I never studied, let's say, education part from my country, so I never studied my history. So in high school, I was really focusing on history.
Okay. Let's go to someone else. For example, Abdulaziz.
Yes, Professor.
What was your kind of interest now or
Um,
back then?
well, actually, when I was in high school, my specialty was learning foreign languages and
Foreign languages, good. Okay.
yeah, as well as business.
In
And
business.
yes, now my interest is more like a technology, and yeah, more technology and making money.
Okay. Great. Let's go to Yani Wang. Yani Wang.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hello,
what's
Professor.
kind of
Yeah,
your
yeah.
favorite interest?
Then, I come from China, and I think education. I think in Korea, Solbridge, I think it can teaching me language best in my uh, in my life, and and the major finance and management teach me more. Yeah.
Management. Okay. Thank you. And let's go to uh, Yang Yu. Yang Yu. Yang Yu.
Hi, Professor.
Hi. So what was kind of your area of interest?
In my high school, and because in Chinese school, we divided the two subjects, the science um and the art.
Art, yes. So what was
Yeah.
your favorite?
So
What did you like to like? What do you like to read about? What's your favorite?
the favorite subject maybe the history.
History.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And then let's go to Anan Bekuna or Ana Bekuma.
Sorry, my cousin I'm looking. I
I can't hear you very well. Okay, we'll go to someone else. You should make sure you fix your microphone for the presentations coming up. Let's go to Shim Debo. Debo Shim?
Oh, I was very interested in literature.
Literature, okay. Korean literature or other literature?
Uh, yeah, all kind of literature,
All
I
kinds
think,
of
but
literature, okay.
especially English and Korean.
Especially English and Korean, very good. And last person, let's go to Vuong Do Min Chao. What's your
Hi,
area of
Professor.
interest? Hello. What's your area of
I'm
interest?
interested in the entertainment industry.
Entertainment, okay, great. So can anyone guess why I'm asking these questions? Because nobody of you said biology is an area of interest. So the third reason to study biology in a business innovation course is to encourage out of the box thinking, or as they say, go out of the comfort zone, right? So maybe one of you or two of you are interested in biology and all that, but most of you are not. And so this is a good example also, a third reason that we can think outside the box. We can think not just in our area of entertainment, of history, of foreign languages, of literature, and so forth. All of that is wonderful. We have a very diverse class, and everyone should have diverse interests. But it's very important for when you innovate. If you want to be an innovative person in your future, if you want to be an innovative person in your company, you have to be thinking about not just your field, but have a diverse area of interest and be ready to explore new areas. This is absolutely critical. And so, of course, I could choose any subject. And one of you mentioned that as the professor, I have a background in biology, but I like to study many other things, and this helps in my innovation, and I enjoy that. So I, read. And last month I read a biography of Alexander Hamilton, who was a politician and economist in the United States, of course, 200 years ago. So I like to do many things, and I like to think out of the box, and I like to go out of my comfort zone. And that's our opportunity today for many of you, because I know biology is not necessarily a subject of main interest. Most of you would not be at Solbridge if it was. You'd maybe doing, something else. So those are the reasons to study biology for this lecture in a business innovation course. To see examples of innovation, which was the assignment, to develop a framework of evolution, to encourage out of the box thinking or go out of the comfort zone. And I will change this because COVID biology is very current and important. That's also a good reason. And the last reason, which is not true, is because the professor knows biology. So as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about the short projects. The short projects are 60% of the grade. There are 3 short projects. And I've taken your suggestion from yesterday, and we will have the presentations every Friday. So the first one this Friday, the second one next Friday, and the third one on the last Friday. So let's go through the assignment. So it's 60%, and it will involve a written assignment, 1 or 2 pages. So a little more than the short paragraph that you wrote for today, but not the big long paper, 5-10 pages. That's not what I want at all. If you do 5 or 10 pages, that will be a negative. So you have to really keep it short and focused. So 1 or 2 pages. So we have 3 projects, so the total is 60%. So each project will be 20%, and the written part will be 10%, and the presentation, which all of you will do 90 seconds, will be another 10% for each. Okay, the first project will be this week to attend a webinar, a TED Talk, or whatever, preferably outside your area of interest. So one of you mentioned you really like video games. I think it was Yun Peng. And Yun Peng also said that if a TED Talk would be okay. So if Yun Peng goes to a TED Talk about video games, then Yun Peng will not be going outside their area of interest. That won't be very good. So I don't know all your areas of interest. I haven't memorized them. So I trust you. It's up to you to have your own motivation to go outside of an area of interest. I'm not going to assign you a webinar. This is an innovation course. You're supposed to be thinking of new ideas. You're supposed to be pushing yourself outside the box. If I assign something for you and say, oh, you should go and do a biology seminar, then that doesn't make sense. You have to have your own initiative, your own desire to go outside the box. And I haven't memorized your interests, so I'm not going to check on that. Of course, you could say, well, I just want to get a good grade. I don't really care. I'm just going to, like some of you said about Chinese high school, you just do really well on the exams and get the good grade, and that's it. Innovation doesn't happen that way. Innovation doesn't happen from quote unquote competition or whatever. Innovation happens because you have a desire and an interest in new ideas. And that's not something you fight at and compete over and try to game and see how you can get the best grade. So if you want to get the good grade and just get through it, you can just see a seminar that you're an expert in and write it and do something, that looks really good. And you could fool the professor and say, well, I'm really smart and I did really well, but you'll be fooling yourself because the idea is, as I mentioned, to attend something, a webinar or some sort of YouTube educational video, preferably outside your area of interest. So to write a short paragraph or two about what you found interesting, it's outside your area, so it's totally new. And like you may not be experienced in it. The less experienced you are, the better. If you hate music, well, most people don't hate music, but if you go to a seminar about music theory and you say, wow, that's really interesting. I found this interesting, and what you learned. So to write that paragraph, and then on Friday, we will have the presentations, and you should be prepared to give a very short presentation um, on that. Now we have 40 students, 41 students in the class. So we have to work very quickly. And so I call on some of you. So for example, Maksat, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, good. So Maksat did very well. He didn't like fool around and, look for the microphone and you know, spend a lot of time, spend 30 seconds figuring out how to answer my question. He just pushed some button and he answered very quickly. So we have to be very good at that. And this is important for your professional careers. If we're doing a lot of virtual meetings and you're not very good at just the practical aspect, that's not very good. So Chen Xiao Tong, how are you doing? Chen Xiao Tong.
Yes, Professor.
Okay, so that was not too bad, but that took a few seconds. So good job, but we can do a little bit better. And then you should also practice sharing the screen because you're going to have to share the screen for your presentation if you have a PowerPoint. Some of you may not have a PowerPoint. So before Friday, let's make sure you're very good at that and very practiced at turning everything on and so forth. So I'll be calling out the names and you'll have 90 seconds to present. So any questions on this first assignment due this week? And I will upload on LMS, the smart system LMS. I'll upload the assignment that you can send the written portion by Friday morning. Any questions about this curiosity assignment. So this assignment is to help develop the mindset of curiosity. And again, if you go to a webinar that you are already interested in, that's not going to work. You have to go to something that is outside your area. You have some curiosity for something new. So any questions?
Professor.
Yes.
So my internet was unstable like the recent minutes. So can I clarify something?
Yes.
So should we submit the same assignment as we research and present the same thing as we
Yes.
submit?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So you're basically going to present the written one paragraph, one page or so. So maybe a little bit longer than today's assignment, and then also present on it.
Got it. Thank you.
So you should, say what was the seminar, what I found interesting, what I learned. Very simple. So actually 90 seconds is a very short time, and it's more difficult to give a very short presentation than sometimes to give a, longer one. So if you ask me to give this lecture in 90 seconds, I will have to prepare a lot for that and think very carefully how to do that. Um, and of course, I can do that, and I'll summarize at the end. So be prepared to be very thoughtful about this. Highlight a few points that you found interesting and what you learned, and that's it. So this assignment is called curiosity. The second assignment is called observation. And one of the reasons why for the long semester course, I do these at the end is we talk about examples of observation and how to see things around the world, around your world, that look interesting and could be a source of innovation. As we grow older, we start to take the world for granted. The desk is hard, the screen is in front of me, the keyboard has these keys, and my glasses are made of metal and glasses made of glass. These are all obvious things, and you might say, why is the professor telling me all these stupid obvious things? But the great innovators will observe what looks obvious. They'll observe something that looks normal, or be able to see something unusual in that. So for example, the glasses that I'm wearing are transparent, right? Glass is transparent. Why is it transparent? It's solid. Why does light go through glass, but it doesn't go through my mouse, right? I mean, some people would say that's a stupid question because that's the way the world is. But if you're an innovator, you don't observe that way. If you look at the Leonardo da Vinci's, if you look at the Michelangelos, if you look at the Albert Einstein, they observe things that other people observe, but they observed it differently. That is very important for innovation. So the second assignment is about observation. Take a walk inside or around your home or office or wherever. Keep an eye out for something interesting, strange, mysterious. Anything. Some behavior of people. It could be an object. It could be a sign. And write a short paragraph or two about why you found this interesting and what new knowledge this observation could lead to. So for example, I talked about light not going through my keyboard, but light goes through the glass. What does that mean? Could that lead to new products? Could that lead to new ideas? Again, I'm just coming up with something right now. And so observation is extremely important. And for your presentation or the written report, you can share a picture or video because obviously it's something visual. And that's for next week. And the due date will be Friday, January 22nd. And the presentation date will be Friday, January 2nd. Any questions about that assignment? So you notice these are about mindset assignments. These are about really pushing your mindset so that in the future, if you imagine yourself as somebody said that they want to become rich and they want to make lots of money. If you want to be the next Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates, you have to have this kind of mindset. Curiosity, observation. And if you say, well, I'm going to do it for this class, and then I don't need to do that kind of stuff later on because it's a waste of time. Why do I need to be curious about something I'm not interested in? Why do I need to keep looking around and observing the world looking for special things? I only do that for Professor Gurel's class. You're not going to be innovative. Trust me. But if you take these assignments and start to change your personality and your character to be curious and to be observing, then you have a good chance of being innovative in the future. And to the extent, and we'll talk about innovation is a source of value and making money, then other benefits will come, obviously. Okay, so third assignment. The third assignment is about passion. What do I mean by passion? You have to have a passion for doing something new, for improving things. You have to have a passion for innovation. So this will be make an innovative suggestion about, or I should say, a suggestion about improving the online educational experience at Solbridge. But by innovation, remember we said innovation is not just a new idea, but how would you implement this new idea? So you need to have a simple plan or a path to making it real. And again, 1 or 2 paragraphs, maybe you can have a flow chart or a diagram if it's a plan is enough. And that's going to be the final day of class. And this is not just about improving, this class, but just in general, given your experience. Make an innovative suggestion about improving online educational experience at Solbridge, but also in general, of course. Who knows, maybe the idea that you have could be the next, educational platform. And you can become a billionaire. Who knows? So curiosity, observation, and passion are these short projects. Each of the projects are very short. Each component is just 10%, 10% for written, 10% for presentation. But the whole thing is 60%. So yesterday, some of you said, well, observation is participation is 40%, short projects are 60%. I think these short projects which develop the mindset and give examples and exercises of innovation are very important. Now you might say, well, why don't I do, for example, a practice startup pitch? Because startups are supposed to be innovative and all that. But you have business, entrepreneurship courses. There are plenty of opportunities to do startup pitches and practice and all that. At Solbridge is a very good environment for that kind of stuff. Today, we're going to go over a startup pitch, actually, just as an example from one of the companies I work with. But this sort of short projects around curiosity, observation, and passion, you will not get anywhere else. You may not have even done this in any school or any class. And this is going to be a unique opportunity to do these sorts of projects that will help in developing the innovation mindset. Any questions? Okay, so I'm going to actually give short video, which is a startup pitch by a company that I actually work with based in Canada. It's a Flight Material Sciences. So notice it's not a biology company. It's related to oil and gas. It's related to aviation, airlines. It's about materials. But I'm chief science officer at this company, and the CEO is going to present. Did I not share the screen?
No, you haven't been sharing.
Yeah, okay. So these are the short projects. Curiosity, observation, and passion. Any questions? Okay. So as I said, these are assignments to help really develop this innovation mindset. Now, I mentioned that I didn't give as an assignment a startup pitch because you have plenty of opportunities at Solbridge to do that kind of thing. But I do, obviously, startups and entrepreneurship are an important part of innovation. So I'm going to give some examples just by way of sort of context and relevance to entrepreneurship. And this startup pitch was for the Entrepreneurship World Cup. And my company, Flight, eventually became second place in the world out of 140,000 startups. It became second in the world in the Entrepreneurship World Cup that was in Dubai. And this was the Canadian finals. So it's the EWC Canada. And we actually came in first place for that in order to get to Dubai. And this is one of the best quick startup pitches that I've seen. And I thought it would be good for you to listen to that. Actually, where is it? Okay, here we go. So it starts around 1 hour, 42 minutes.
I'm confident he's going to share something that we're excited about. It's my pleasure to welcome Dan from Flight Material Sciences to the virtual stage.
Hello, everybody. Are we coming through?
We can see you, and if you go into full screen mode, you'll be set. Perfect. Looks great.
Okay, thanks, everybody. It's one thing to have a hard act to follow. It's another to have 8 hard acts to follow. But I'll do my best to keep you awake for this last one and get you home on time. Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Cohen, the founder of Flight Material Sciences, and it's a privilege to present to the Entrepreneurship World Cup tonight. Back in 2017, I was the head of a solar structures company, and we were looking for a way to keep snow and ice and frost and other agents off of solar panels, and didn't really find what I was looking for in the coatings market or the research market, but we did find this, and it's changed my life and the lives of others now. So Flight Material Science is for industrial products that we depend on. Now, when we depend on these products, every aspect of our daily life, and when their surfaces are affected by rust and fouling and ice, they fail. So we have a radical new treatment to protect all industrial materials using clean lasers instead of toxic coatings. And this technique will protect human life, reduce environmental damage, and improve the safety and performance of products. So let's get into the details. I'd like to teach you about this technology in under 1 minute. This is the surface of stainless steel. And when it's magnified, you can see that its natural texture is rough and random. And when coatings are applied, they eventually fail, leaving the surface vulnerable and scattering toxic residue into the air and water. Our patented pulse technique sculpts a new texture that has a specific function. And this functional texture is one that repels water. We can also make textures that repel oil or attract liquids to the surface. This is all called laser surface functionalization. This is what super hydrophobic metal looks like up close. Liquids don't just run off, but they bounce off the surface and they take anything alongside with it like dust or debris. And if water can't stay on the surface, ice can't hold there, and rust doesn't form there, and bacteria won't grow there. So you might think that nanostructures seem fragile, but we've put these results through very harsh testing, and we are ready to face the industrial challenges that our customers have. So we've got an extensive list of opportunities that were validated by technical experts in each sector, reducing the 150 million liters of glycol in aircraft de-icing, to getting a 20% increase in solar energy, making better cardiac stents, and much more. So after living with the risk and loss and damage associated with coatings for decades, our customers are thrilled to try something new. And each of these problem areas is attached to a multi-billion-dollar industry, ready for disruption and hungry for real change. So in the $100 billion coatings market, there's a $2 billion niche with many new products that offer superhydrophobic benefits. These are our competitors, but we are not a coating. Our patented technique has the benefits of the best of these coatings with none of the downside. None of our competitors can sustain years of exposure to sun or rain or salt water in the harsh environments of aviation and space or in the vulnerable spaces of the human body. Our team has more than 100 years of experience in early stage technology in clean tech and medical and university tech transfer. We're now a team of 6 with an advisory board, and we're adding experts with deep industry background. We have an effective balance of personalities, nationalities, and perspective here. This work has yielded a collection of published papers and patents and a tremendous amount of press coverage. We're the proud graduates of innovation groups from around North America, and our first customers come from across the industry sectors to solve a problem that coatings have not solved. So we've got a promising future, a deep pipeline of Global 1000 customers waiting for us, and our network and innovation has provided the rest of the traction. And we've barely begun to sell, but we've got millions in pipeline lined up. And as we advance, the average client will provide 5 to 15 years of recurring revenue at a margin of 80 to 90% with a strong chance of renewal. So at Flight, we envision a world where drinking water comes through clean pipes and our ships sail through the ocean without poisoning the water, and everyday surfaces don't hold dangerous pathogens. This isn't a technology that makes a company, it's something that creates a whole industry. So with your support, we'll expand our mission of making everyday materials extraordinary. Thank you.
So I want to share that with you as an example. What I think is, I mean, obviously it's a company that I'm working with, but I think it's one of the best quick startup pitches I've ever seen. You'll see the link here to all of these, and there were 8 finalists, so they're all very good, top startups. So you can get some examples and experiences of very good presentations. But Flight ended up winning at the end, and so I think it's going to be announced here. So Canadian National
is Genesis. Congratulations to the Genesis team. They will be winning $10,000 in cash prizes. And our first place winner, who will be advancing to the global finals, is Flight Material Science. Bringing up with the last presentation, a really, really strong pitch. Congratulations to Dan and the Flight team. Flight will be receiving $25,000 in cash, as well as an automatic advance to the global finals.
And the global finals had representatives from all countries. So there were about 150 or so finalists, and Flight ended up becoming second. I don't have the presentation for that. So this is a good example of some very good presentations. So I encourage you, if you want to have good examples of startup pitches, to use this as a resource. And as I said, Flight, I think, was one of the best ones, and not just because I say it, but as you can see, it was judged very well. So give an example of innovation in biology. That was the question for today. We'll spend a few minutes getting some answers from people. And I looked at your answers, but who wants to give their example? Anyone want to start?
Okay, me.
Okay, start.
Just a second. Okay, I'd like to share the technology of cloning. Just as I mentioned in my assignment, cloning is kind of copy technology. In my opinion, if a technology is banned in China, I think it will be a good technology, a great technology. Since cloning is totally forbidden in China, if you make this technology practical, you will just get killed. So I think cloning is a great technology. You can get a healthy organ, or you can bear a baby without any pain. So that's the application of cloning.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. So many of you actually answered this question, not this question. I said, give an example of innovation in biology. Many of you gave an example of innovation in biotechnology. So Yun Peng mentioned cloning. Some of you mentioned vaccines. Some of you mentioned other things that ideas that have been done in biology, biotechnology. That is not the answer I was looking for. What I was looking for is examples in the world around us, like how birds fly, how fish swim, how mussels work, how we eat. The examples in biology that show innovative solutions to problems, not how companies or human beings have used biology to solve problems, but I wanted answers about in biology. So cloning is a technology that humans have developed, that companies have developed to solve various problems, like Yun Peng mentioned, but that's not an example of innovation in biology that we see around us. So in other words, it was very interesting for me to see many of your answers because you were still thinking inside the box. You were thinking, oh, the professor wants me to come up with some ideas from biological science or biotechnology. But I was looking for something even outside that. Give an example in biology. Now, of course, these examples in biology can inspire technologies. And that's really important. We're going to talk about that. But
yeah, Professor, I just came out with an example. Can I share it?
okay.
Yes. For example, duck and chicken, their feet, the fingers at the beginning, they are the same as ducks. I mean, there are some, the fingers are not individually. They have a
web.
Yes, and they can swim. But then kitchen goes to the land, and then innovation came here.
Yes,
The
that's
fingers
that's
become
the
individual.
kind of example I'm looking at. That's exactly right. So if you have feet with webs, you can swim. That's the ducks. But chicken, they have fingers so they can grab onto things on land. So those are innovations that I'm talking about. So we're going to go through that in the class. We'll give some examples. I'm going to show another video, very important, why biology is extremely important, even if we're not interested in biology, because I wasn't interested in biological innovations. I was interested in innovation in biology, because that can apply in many other areas. So please watch this video.
In 1989, Japan's Shinkansen bullet train had a problem. It was fast, really fast, like pushing 170 miles per hour fast. But every time it exited a tunnel, it was loud. The noise was coming from a variety of sources, but whenever a train sped into a tunnel, it pushed waves of atmospheric pressure through the other end. The air exited tunnels with a sonic boom that could be heard 400 meters away. In dense residential areas, that was a huge problem. So an engineering team was brought in to design a quieter, faster, and more efficient train. And they had one secret weapon. Eiji Nakatsu, the general manager of the technical development department, was a bird watcher.
Different components of the redesigned bullet train were based on different birds. Owls inspired the pantograph. That's the rig that connects the train to the electric wires above. Nakatsu modeled the redesign after their feathers, reducing noise by using the same serrations and curvature that allow them to silently swoop down to catch prey. The Adelie penguin, whose smooth body allows it to swim and slide effortlessly, inspired the pantograph's supporting shaft, redesigned for lower wind resistance. And perhaps most notable of all was the kingfisher.
The kingfisher is a bird that dives into water to catch its prey. The unique shape of its beak allows it to do that while barely making a splash. Nakatsu took that shape to the design table. The team shot bullets shaped like different train nose models down a pipe to measure pressure waves and dropped them into water to measure the splash size. The quietest nose design was the one modeled most closely after the kingfisher's beak. When the redesign debuted in 1997, it was 10% faster, used 15% less electricity, and stayed under the 70 decibel noise limit in residential areas. And it did all that with the wings of an owl, the belly of a penguin, and the nose of a kingfisher. There's a name for design like this. It's called biomimicry.
The people who design our world usually never take a biology class, believe it or not. So they're novices in how the world works.
That's Janine Benyus. Back in 1997, she wrote the book that coined the term biomimicry. It told the story of the innovations in computing, energy, and health that were inspired by structures in the natural world.
Stick like a gecko, compute like a cell, even run a business like a redwood forest.
Benyus has since worked as a consultant for various companies, trying to get them to understand how to take design ideas from nature. That might mean studying prairie dog burrows to build better air ventilation systems, mimicking shark skin to create bacteria-resistant plastic surfaces for hospitals, or arranging wind turbines in the same drag-reducing pattern that schools of fish swim in. Designers get inspiration from a lot of different places, but Benyus thinks many of them could benefit from looking more at the natural world.
So there's a lot of sort of looking at what other people have done, and what they do is they look at all the others, and they get ideas They literally do, you know, a lot of designers have lots of magazines that they look through. They tear those out and they put them on inspiration boards. But they're looking at other human technologies.
Her idea was simple. Designers should get in the habit of bringing a biologist to the table and let them help solve problems by mimicking nature. And there are three main ways they can do that.
You know, you can mimic its form or its shape. You might create a paint for a building that when it dries, it's got the same structure as self-cleaning leaves. Lotus leaves are notoriously great. They let rainwater clean the leaf because they have these bumps. The rainwater balls up on the bumps and then it pearls away the dirt. So that lotus effect is physical. And you can create a physical structure on the outside of any product. Imagine that on the outside of your car. Rainwater would clean your car. So that's mimicking form. But there's also mimicking process, the processes in the natural world. It might even be, you know, how you mimic how ants communicate in order to efficiently find sources of food or new places to live. And those processes, that self-organization, has been mimicked in software. You know, in things like autonomous cars and how they're going to move in flocks through the city by talking to one another. That's mimicking nature's process. To the level of mimicking whole ecosystems, right? The thing that's a buzzword right now that's really hot called the circular economy, which is essentially, you know, industry saying, you know, there should be no such thing as a byproduct in our manufacturing facility that goes to landfill. It should be used by something else, right? And at the end of a product's life, that product should be upcycled into something else. It's being called the circular economy. Ecosystems do that really, really, really well. You've got a log on the forest floor, and those materials move up into the body of the fungus that eats it. Those materials move up into a mouse. And that mouse material moves up into a hawk, right? And if you think about that as what we'd like to do with local materials being upcycled constantly in our cities, for instance, those ecosystem lessons are really big for us.
And that's the end goal for biomimetic design, making products, systems, and cities functionally indistinguishable from the natural world. Life has been around on Earth for 3.8 billion years, and what designers are starting to realize is that is a lot of research and development time.
The people who design our world have a lot to learn from the natural world. All they have to do is take a look.
Thank you so much for watching. This is one of a series of videos that we're doing in.
Okay. So before the break, I'll go through a very quick review of yesterday's lecture, and then we will talk about biology, as we mentioned. So very briefly, innovation is not just the same as a new idea, if you remember. Many people talk about what is possible with technology, so the technology idea, but it should also be what users want, which is related to marketing, and what is viable in the marketplace, which is related to business. And so the combination of all of these becomes innovation. So we can say innovation is a combination of invention and commercialization. So we contrast invention, which is creativity, which involves science and art and so forth, and observation and all that, with innovation, which is bringing those new ideas to the market. We talked about how invention refers to the discovery of a new idea, usually the work of an individual and by definition outside of reality. And innovation is the implementation of that, usually with groups, because many capabilities and resources are required, and by definition brings invention into reality. So we talked about product innovation and process innovation. And we talked about how the iPod actually supplanted the Korean MP3 players through process innovation of the iTunes store. So a process around that product. So whenever you have a product idea, you should really be thinking of the process innovation as well as, of course, the business model innovation. We talked about disruptive innovation. And what is disruptive? There are two types, low cost and new market disruptive innovation. In low cost disruptive innovation, which is one of the most common ones, we have a disruptive technology, which is actually poorer performance than the existing technology. But at some point, that disruptive technology reaches the customer needs, and it's lower cost, and it can replace or disrupt the existing incumbent technologies. We talked about closed versus open innovation. In closed innovation, all the innovation is done in the company. And in open innovation, there's a lot of interactions outside the company and inside the company to create multiple possibilities and source new ideas. And finally, we talked about organizational innovation, how we can innovate innovation. And you saw the biomimicry or bio-inspired design video where she was saying that actually how businesses work and how ecosystems work could also be related to innovation. So how can we create a business structure, strategic management of innovation that can create more innovation? Before we do that, we should understand that technology determines corporate structures. And so the corporate structures that we have now with a centralized headquarters and centralized factory are very much based on 19th century technologies. And I started giving these lectures 10 years ago, seminars, lectures, classes, etc. And I was talking about how our company structures need to change for new technologies, more virtual communication and so forth. And that has accelerated with COVID. And so we will anticipate seeing new corporate structures arising to address science-based business and new kinds of businesses and so forth. So what is innovation? Innovation is the new idea or new combinations of old ideas that are implemented and made into reality in a sustainable, impactful way. That is what innovation is. So we're going to take a break here. It is now 10:04. We will return at 10:20, and we will go talk about adaptation, evolution, innovation, and biology. We'll talk about examples of innovation in biology. We'll discuss the theory of evolution as a framework for innovation, and then we'll give some more examples of bio-inspired innovation, which the video calls biomimicry. So we'll take a break here, stay online, and